Alright, so let's get down to part 2. So this is the floor plan where I last left you. I'm about 80%, but I'm going to stop. I like you guys to finish out and make it look like the PDF. Everything except for the outlets and anything that's electrical, right? And then I also did second floor. I did even less, but at the very least I tagged all the windows. But again, I need you guys to finish it out and make it look very neat and very complete. Now we're going to create a sheet. So we actually already have a floor plan sheet here, and nothing's been loaded. So now I can actually drag in my first floor, and yeah, that's my little crop window is huge. We'll fix that, and I'll drag in my second floor. So if you want to activate this window to make adjustment to this window, you have to double click inside of it. I'm just going to bring this in much closer, that, and then double click on the outside. I lost all of my elevation marks, but I will bring them back and come here. And then to make this line smaller is super weird, but you have to select the window, and then that allows you to stretch that line out. When I was first learning Revit, trying to figure that out, I almost went crazy. And not to worry about this outside box that will not print, but if it does bother you, just select it and just, you know, make the crop region not visible, and it'll disappear. Okay, so this is the same thing here. I'm going to double click inside, kind of make these a little tighter. And the reason why my elevation marks are disappearing, because I'm closing the view window, so when this line gets pushed in, that'll disappear. Now you can have another layer called annotation crop, and then, you know, move that out, and then you should be able to see it. Oh, I lied. Sorry. Disregard that for a minute. I don't want to go through and explaining that at the moment. And then bring it in. So you just make it as tight as possible. I am pretty anal. I like to try to, so what I usually do is I try to, you know, Revit doesn't have a good way of snapping between the drawings, but I kind of do that, and then I, you know, move it apart just so that the plans look like they're somewhat lined up. And then I can see that there's all kinds of conflict here, so I am going to take both of these windows and bring it down lower. And you will have to finesse this, you know, your own drawing. Again, bring the title, select the window so that you can actually push this in, and then you can say, I don't want to see the crop region. So you have your two floor plans in, and let me just bring this thing in as a reference for you guys. So we just did this, and then now I'm going to show you guys how to pull a door and window schedule, and then we're going to go through the keynotes, and then we're done. But please make sure that your floor plan's detailed out quite nicely. So back when I started architecture, believe it or not, I started drafting by hand, and then I started to draft with AutoCAD. So door and window schedule used to give me nightmares, because if you screw that up and the contractor orders a window and he ordered the incorrect size, we were in trouble. And the possibility of getting that wrong was very high, because we had to measure this window, you know, like literally measure it, and then remember what that measurement was and put it in. And if during the design process, if that got changed, we'd have to remember that that window got changed, and then we'd have to erase the size on the schedule and put in the new size. It was absolutely berserk. But Revit makes that incredibly easy. So first of all, it knows how many windows and doors are in there. So I'm going to come here to schedule and then say new schedule, and I'm going to make a door schedule. And it is able to pull all this information. Obviously, I don't need all of this information. So I'm just going to go through. I don't really need to count, but I would like the description. Let me see. And it's not bad to put them in and then take them back out, just so that you know what's going on. But I like to have the head height. Level, which is which floor is it on. Mark. I still forget whether it's mark or type mark. I want the type of window, whether it's a slider or fixed. I want that information. I want the width. There should be a height somewhere. Width, height. And I think in your example, sometimes we put this on, sometimes we don't. Some plan checkers ask for it. Some plan checkers do not. And then I think that's what I'm going to do. I think there's a little bit more columns in your example. Try to match the example, please. So I'm going to put the mark on the top. But anyway, let's just see what that looks like. So here you go. So I have my mark here, and then I have the description, which I'm going to probably put way on the back. Let me see here. So in this case, I know I don't want the type mark. It's a long story, but these are the, I have kind of several different types of doors. So I have like 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, number 8 type of doors, but that's not the information that I want. I really want to just keep the mark, like which door, which number is it. So these are your tags, right, that we placed. So I don't need the type mark, so I'm going to hit edit, and I'm going to take the type mark out of there. And I want my mark, I want description to maybe go way down. And that's like if I have a special instructions or description. So or you can call them notes or comments. So I usually always have that. And then I want the mark, and then I want the width first, and then the height, and then the head height. I like that. Level, actually I think I'm going to put the level right before the width and height. And then the type of door, so that's fine. Let's just keep that. Don't want to get too crazy. And yeah, so that's your door schedule. And the beauty of this is that when I change the door schedule, everything else will change. So I know all these numbers aren't going to necessarily match the construction documents that you've been having, that you have, but it's okay. I just want you to learn how to create the schedule, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the schedule on another demo. So now I have the door schedule. So now I can actually just drag that out. Oops. Get here. My door schedule. Drag it out. So I have my door schedule. And right next to it, I think I'll pop the window schedule. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm not going to do the window schedule because I want you guys to learn from what I did on the door schedule and figure out the window schedule. Oh, but let me show you one thing though. On the schedule, we usually put, instead of mark, because most people don't know what mark is, I usually like to put door number, right? So door number 6, that's on the first floor. So where's the door number 6? We're talking about this door here, right? So here's door number 6. So I'm going to come back in here and change that name to door number. And right now, it's not necessarily in numerical order. Let's try to sort that by coming to sorting group and sort by mark. And that should just take it numerically. So I am missing number 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to go back and renumber these to make them clean, that's totally possible. So, you know, go to town with that, guys. One more thing before I leave you. This video is only 9 minutes, so hopefully you guys have a little bit more patience. I am going to cover keynotes. Keynotes are an interesting thing. Keynotes are when you need to create a description, and that description is going to be a whole paragraph instead of a real simple, oh, what was that? Like a real simple call out like egress door. But if you need to put a whole paragraph in, your drawings could look really, really crazy. So what we do is we create a keynote, and then we put a key, and then it could be a key number 1, key number 2, whatever that is, and then there's a note associated to that. So for instance, if you look closely on your example here, we have a keynote legend, and we usually put the keynotes in the bathroom because there's a lot of stuff to write, which I don't see there, but here, right here. So we have a keynote B1 and B2. Right, so that's kind of our internal keynote. And on the bathroom, we usually put that because it's just part of plan check most of the time. I'm surprised that we don't have it here. But anyway, so that's a keynote, and we created our own, so you guys have access to that on your assets folder. So let's first get into our view, our first floor view, and I'm just going to put those bathroom keynotes in here. So the first thing you do is under the Annotate tab, you have Keynote. you're going to come in here and you're going to go to Keynote Setting, and you are going to browse and point to the folder where you have downloaded the asset folder that I'm giving you. And in my case, I have it here, Keynotes, and this is a file you want. All right, so you're just going to open that and you say yes, yes, thank you. So now it's in, right? So now what you do is you go down here and you click User Keynote, and I don't want a leader. I just want to be able to play. So I kind of point to something, and then because it needs to like attach it to something, and then you can expand this, and then bathtub, showers. You see this paragraph? This is all code related. So I say I want B2 Keynote, and so there's B2, and let me select that tab. So I'm gonna kind of place it like here, so that it doesn't look so wild. And then I'm gonna do User Keynote again, and then click on anything really, and then come back in. Usually in the bathroom we have 2 keynotes. Water complaint. Yeah, let's go B5. So these are all like different, depending on what and that's where like the minimum width and 24 inches in front and all of that, right? So that would be kind of appropriate, like kind of like right here, B5. So go ahead and kind of go through, put the proper keynotes in there, and then it's in. And then what happens is that when you come to the floor plan, the plan checkers are going to go, oh, you have B2, B5. So they kind of know that's a keynote, and they're going to be like, okay, well, what does that mean? So you need a keynote legend. All right, so let's get on to making a keynote. So you want to come down here to Legends, right click, and you want to create new keynote legend because we don't have one. And we'll just call it keynote legend. And then it's already kind of pre-described. It's going to give you the key value. The key value is the B3, B2, B5, or whatever the value is, and then the actual text. So it's basically telling me it's going to show me both of those, which is fine. The kind of the one important thing is you want to check on filter by sheet. If you don't, they're going to show all the keynotes, and we have literally 10, 20, 30 different keynotes. So when you do filter by sheet, it's only going to show you the keynote that you used on that sheet. So checking that box is actually kind of important. So there you go. So I have my keynote here. I can close that now, and here it is. So now I just got to drag it and drop it, and now just got to tweak this so that we can see the text. So there you go. Let me kind of give you an example. So if I bring it down here so you guys can see what's going to happen, I'm going to double click on here and I'm going to add a keynote, and you're going to see another keynote pop up automatically. Here I'm going to go to keynote, click on something, go to floor plan. Let's say I want, doorway into the living room, blah 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 blah. So here's that keynote. And the thing is, even though I clicked on the door, after you create the keynote could be placed anywhere on the screen. Of course, you could rotate it and all that, but what I really wanted you to see is that once I place that keynote, double click, get out. Once I place that FLR1, you can see my keynote legend automatically updated with FLR1. And this is why Revit is so powerful, ability to save so much time. So anyway, so here you have your keynote. Please install it. You have your door schedule. You need to give me a window schedule, and you should be wrapping up with this floor plan project.